Greetings everyone, I'm Dr. Anth. In the past several videos, I've covered 6 of the 12 regions in America. They are Yankeedom, New France, New Netherland, the Midlands, Tidewater, and the Deep South. In this video, I will discuss Greater Appalachia, the third of the southern regions. Greater Appalachia begins in the Appalachian Mountain states of southwest Pennsylvania, southern Ohio, West Virginia, the western portion of Virginia, eastern Kentucky and Tennessee, western North Carolina, and North Georgia and Alabama. However, as populations in Appalachia moved west, they took their culture with them, so that Greater Appalachia came to include all of Kentucky and Tennessee, southern Indiana and Illinois, the Ozark region of southern Missouri and northern Arkansas, along with most of Oklahoma and northeast Texas. Greater Appalachia is scenically beautiful, but the land is rugged and rocky, which makes it difficult to grow crops. Although native Indian populations lived in the region successfully for thousands of years, the immigrants from the British Isles found life a hard struggle. Part of the struggle was due to the culture of honor the Scots-Irish brought with them from the borderlands in Britain, where protecting one's herd animals and fighting for one's honor were daily facts of life. Between 1717 and 1775, over 250,000 people immigrated to Appalachia from the borderlands in Britain. Appalachia was the frontier of the British colonies, far from the governing elites. It became a lawless backwoods region where conflicts were frequent and settled in blood, as with the history of the Hatfields and McCoys. Frontiersmen kept pushing the boundaries west, which is how Greater Appalachia grew to cover a significant portion of the South. Andrew Jackson was essentially a frontiersman who made it to the top. He was a military leader, which gave him credibility with the white men of Greater Appalachia. But his true success was based on being a land speculator, a plantation owner, and a buyer and seller of enslaved people. All of this propelled him to the White House. I will discuss Jackson's treatment of the native populations of Greater Appalachia in a future video not part of this series. There was slavery in Greater Appalachia, but it was of limited extent compared to the Deep South. Most of the enslaved people that Jackson bought and sold ended up on cotton plantations in the Deep South. I mentioned in a prior video in this series that Missouri was a special case. North of the Missouri River, the state is part of the Midlands. South of the river, it is part of Greater Appalachia. Missouri had tobacco plantations worked by enslaved people. In 1820, as part of a compromise, Maine was admitted to the Union as a free state, while Missouri was admitted as a slave state. Part of the compromise was that none of the rest of the Louisiana Purchase territory would be admitted as slave states. Politically, the fact that Missouri was a slave state overwhelms any identity as a Midland state. Slave owners, in particular those growing cotton, were not happy with the decision by the federal government to limit the number of slave states. In the early 1820s, Mexico was having trouble controlling their northern territories, including the state of Tejas. Mexico decided to encourage immigration, particularly from Kentucky and Tennessee. These Anglos would receive land and could act as a buffer between Mexican settlements and the native populations. Many poor white families took Mexico's offer and moved to Tejas. However, wealthy plantation owners also wanted access to the good cotton-growing land in East Texas. Mexico had abolished slavery and prohibited slavery in any of their territories. This prohibition didn't bother the wealthy Anglos. They just decided, hey, they'd take Tejas away from Mexico. The Anglos declared Texas independent from Mexico in 1836. The independent Republic of Texas existed from 1836 to 1846, when it was added to the Union as the final slave state. None of the rest of the northern Mexico territory, which the U.S. won through war, would be admitted to the Union as slave states. Slavery had spread throughout the United States from its origins in the Tidewater region into the Deep South and through Greater Appalachia to the state of Texas, whose reason for independence from Mexico was to maintain a system of slavery. In those areas of Greater Appalachia where farming was not profitable, wealthy white men found another way to extract wealth from the land, through mining of coal in the east and lead and zinc in the Ozarks. In the 21st century, according to the Human Development Index, the states in Greater Appalachia are among the worst performing states. Only Missouri and Texas perform slightly better than the other states of the region. Reasons for this low performance on the Human Development Index are many, but include extreme poverty, as shown in this poverty map, and high drug use, as shown in this meth use map. In addition, the culture of honor, which arrived with the original British immigrants, creates a desire among many white men to vent their anger by joining hate groups. Greater Appalachia is a region of great natural beauty, but that cannot hide the pain created by poverty, depression, and anger. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to my channel.